Let's just state a simple fact here. The entirety of the planet is not the United States of America in terms of your ability to speak on things here. Even though you are saying it from the United States of America, it does not specifically mean that other people in other places that may feel a certain way about what you're saying are not going to absolutely remember your face if you ever come to their country, right? So I hope everything turned out well here, but I guess this is going to be like a story time or something. But one of you guys sent this in, so we're going to go ahead and check this out immediately and comment throughout, guys.
Depending when this comes out, or if it does, we are currently being told by Cuban intelligence here in Havana, Cuba. I came here, I've been wanting to make a video for so long about life in communism and showing people what communism is like in a place like Cuba, for instance. Came here to make this video, and when people think about communism, they typically just think about how communism is supposed to make everything equal, whether it be the amount of money someone makes or how food's distributed and how the markets are then controlled by the government. However, something that people do not think about, including myself, is how in communism they do not have freedom of speech, they don't have freedom of press, and therefore they want to make sure everything that is posted or out in the world about their country is filtered or censored. So here in Cuba, as soon as I arrived into Cuba, I did everything that you need to do to come into Cuba as far as the documentations that it takes to come into Cuba. Right now, there's a big problem taking place here in Cuba, the largest humanitarian crisis they've had in maybe 50 years. And there's no oil or gas due to the blockade after Trump and the United States took over and captured Maduro. So Venezuela is no longer supporting Cuba with any oil or gas, and that also affects everything that they have, essentially, between whether it be the food or from it being the light and the power shortages here, or just the gas alone. Here in Cuba, you hardly see any cars driving around because nobody can afford gas. For 1 liter of gas, it's $10. Okay, so where am I getting? What am I getting from here?
That's slightly over $30 a gallon.
So I go out at the airport. They seize all of my cameras.
Of course.
They seize both my GoPros, my Meta glasses. These are not my Meta glasses. All my microphones. However, the only thing they don't take is my iPhone camera. That's what I'm filming this on right now. They don't take my iPhone camera, and somehow they didn't get this microphone that was in the very, very bottom of my backpack. So we get out and we go start to make the video asking Cubans about life in communism, showing what's going on with the blockade, showing kind of the downfall of Cuba. One sec, I'm working on getting this out. Right now, we're currently planning our escape route out of Cuba right now, so had to respond to take a message to get out of here somehow. So we go out into the streets and we start filming this video. We're showing people what life is like in Cuba right now, how there's hardly any cars out in the streets. The buildings are like crumbling, essentially. All the university is destroyed, the University of Cuba. Yes. There's hardly any food out for the people, and just
but that's normal.
The mass poverty that's taking place, and asking people about things such as communism, what life is like in Cuba.
Okay.
Well, when we're doing one interview near a hospital where there's a huge line outside the hospital, because here the hospitals aren't even working, essentially. The lines are taking forever, and with their hospital and the government controlling the hospital, that also affects the power. So right now you currently have surgeons doing operations with flashlights because there's no power inside of the hotel, in the hospitals. Right now I'm in the only hotel in Havana that has 24/7 electricity, 24/7.
Okay, guys, just be fully aware this sounds like a tourist hotel, and generally tourist hotels are incredibly bugged. Let's just say this here. So even if he's saying this right here, most likely it's being listened to. Guys, I've been through a couple of situations like this in random countries. But guys, stay to the end, guys, and we'll definitely have a conversation about some of my experiences, at least, in some of these absolute despot type of places here. He should have known, okay? Seriously, the asking people on the street thing was the worst thing he could have possibly done, truth be told here. Cameras and equipment being seized at borders, that seems to be pretty common in some of these places, but again, we'll talk about that later.
Because this is the only one that has that access. That's what the reason why I booked this hotel was, because their website was the only one that was operating 24/7. All the other ones weren't, so that's why I was able to get this hotel. And anyways, we're filming this video, and when we're next to the hospital, we see undercover cop roll up on us, and my security guards that are with me, they detected him, and then all of a sudden there's another one. So we hopped back in another taxi, we left the scene, and we thought we were good. They didn't tell us, and we left. But since we left the airport, we had been getting told, or the word had gotten out that there was a journalist inside of Cuba. There's only 2 flights that come in here every single day. So it wasn't hard to spot out who the journalist was. And that's what my tourist visa said. That's what my visa said. It said for journalistic activities. So you can come here. There's 12 categories in which you can come, and journalist activities is one of those. So therefore, that is why I came.
Oh God, guys!
And right now it is currently 9:30, and we have Cuban intelligence down in the lobby of the hotel right now, working to essentially try to round us up and potentially imprison us or make it so we cannot leave Cuba. So right now we're coming with a game plan to escape Cuba. Our original flight is to leave on Saturday. Right now it's Thursday, so we're going to be leaving tomorrow morning if we can make it to the airport. We're about 1.5 miles away from the U.S. Embassy right now, which could be our possible way out of this situation by going to the embassy. However, that does not stop Cubans from stopping us
on the way there
before we get to the embassy. It's about 1.5 miles away, so we have to make it to the embassy. And right now there's 3 essentially Cuban spies down at the bottom of our hotel right now.
Of course.
And you have to figure out how we're going to escape.
Okay, guys, rule number 1 here. In certain places, like, so listen, I've been a photographer for a couple of, let's say, entities, very famous ones here, for a very long time here. Okay, so I've gotten the ability to basically travel to a good amount of these places here, and you're basically told, like, as you're about to get the visa, it may not be the smartest thing in the world to say you are a couple of things here: photographer, all right, videographer, journalist. Like, these type of things are no-nos for, let's say, all of North Africa, some places in South America also, and some places in, like, Southeast Asia, right? Just be careful when you do this here. Like, you should have said you were there for the sole purpose of, like, tourism, got your stuff, made no actual videos, if that makes any sense. Went with like a hybridized camera, maybe something like this or something like, you get what I mean here, guys, right? Like something small, something not outrageous, and then you would have probably gotten in and gotten a lot further than this specific thing here that's happening to you. A similar thing happened to me in Morocco, almost to the letter of what he's saying.
We're trying to get a hold of the embassy right now and see if we can stay there overnight, and then buy our airplane ticket last minute, so that doesn't pull off any red flags to the Cuban government before we arrive to the airport. This is not a joke. When we talk about communism and we talk about the effects of communism, something that you often don't look at is the freedom of speech or the freedom of press, to just simply be able to give your opinion out in the public and have it be then posted by a journalist. That's all I was doing today, was asking people about the current situation, asked a few people about communism, and that's when it really got bad. It was when this evening I left the hotel around 5 before sunset to go out, and the idea was we were going to go walk the streets of Cuba at night and show all the power shortage and how the lights get cut out and people don't have electricity at night. So we had planned to walk around the streets after the sun went down, and so I was conducting some interviews before the sun went down, and I asked a man about communism, and that's when we realized that the Cuban intelligence was at the hotel, because as soon as we walked out and I interviewed this man, we had a lady come up when I started talking about communism, and she started recording on the back. And we confronted her and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" and she's like, oh, I'm not taking a photo. She said she's on a phone call, but her phone was open to the photo. And so one of my security guards stayed with me, the other went and followed her from behind, and he tracked her down, and she ended up noticing him as well, and she went to a Cuban, another Cuban intelligence spy, and then they came to the hotel lobby. And before that, when we were eating lunch today, after we had gotten through customs at the airport, after they had seized all my stuff, my GoPros and my meta glasses and all my microphones, another man was at the hotel, and he was all by himself. And then this evening he was with the two Cuban spies in the lobby. So right now we are trying to plan our escape route. We have a few options. The main one is to leave here and then go play taxi tag, as far as hopping in another taxi to make sure we aren't getting trailed by them, and then make our way to the embassy, and then from the embassy buy our flight around 7 a.m., make it to the airport at 8 a.m., hop on our flight 8:30, and then be out of Cuba. The other options are we stay here in our hotel and hope they don't come and round us up in the middle of the night. The only problem is tomorrow is May 1st, and that is essentially their 4th of July here. We're just outside of the hotel we're staying at right now. They are going to have a huge march for communism, for the current president, and that's their July 4th parade essentially.
Okay. So, but did you know all of this before you went there to specifically ask these questions? Because guys, again here, this does not need to happen, obviously, but understand this right here, guys. When you are in someone else's country, you kind of have to go by their rules here, right? And that's kind of the default here. The embassy can help you to a certain amount here, to a certain extent. But if you are, for the most part, poking the bear in absolutely a very uncivilized place compared to other civilized places, let's just say this here, you cannot be incredibly surprised here. Like, you knew, Nick, you're super smart here, bro. All right? You are intelligent. So when it comes down to the idea of communism, you know exactly what you can or cannot do here. Just because you're Nick Shirley, all right, it doesn't mean you have the pass, let's say, to get away with asking these things in a place that you know is going to be hostile. All right, like, this is a hostile place for journalists, photographers. Just, I'm telling you, never go to Cuba, or Egypt, or Algeria, or Morocco, specifically, or like to Sudan and say you're a journalist, and or photographer. Don't do these things here. When you go to these places, you go with the smallest amount of equipment humanly possible that is still going to be able to deliver a good enough quality image for publication. But you do not do any of this. You do not ask questions. Go get your images, etc. This is not the United States of America, guys. Like, you are not safe here. Okay, not as who he is and exactly what he's trying to do. I get it. You're trying to be just, true, moral. I'm here for journalistic purposes. The fact that you put down that you are here for journalistic purposes and you know there's going to be this gigantic communist parade here, guys. We're going to talk more later, though, but guys,
it was taking place right outside our hotel. Had no idea that was happening beforehand.
Okay, you didn't know
until we got to the hotel, and they said that happens every single year. It's their biggest march. They do each and every single year, and it is for communism. You cannot speak out against communism when you live inside a communist country. Right. Last time that happened in 2021 here in Cuba, lots of people were arrested, and it was not good. And the other times that happened were, I believe, like the 1960s. So communism does not allow the truth to be told. In fact, it just censors what people can do. And right now they are literally trying to kidnap and detain me and my two security guards that are here with me right now from leaving Cuba. And we're trying to do everything we can to somehow do something with this footage. And so if this video does make it out into the world, I have either been kidnapped or I am safe. If it's after May 1st, I am not kidnapped. But if the video is alright, I'm not gonna get kidnapped, so I'm not gonna say that. So I'm going to post this video though to show you guys the risk that we're in right now, and We are going to make it out of Cuba. If there's a will, there's a way. But this is currently what we are planning right now and going through, because we legit have Cuban spies at the bottom of our hotel room. We're on the 8th floor right now. They're in the lobby right now. The security guard just went down to see what was going on, and they're all down there in the lobby. There's a few singers down at the restaurant right now, so we're thinking to go down, blend in, and then sneak our way out for the night and make our way to the embassy. This is probably the most dangerous situation I've ever been into. This is probably the most dangerous situation I've ever been in, especially when you have no power here, essentially, because the United States and Cuba, they do not like each other. There's been an embargo since the 1960s here, where the United States has not allowed other businesses to do work with Cuba, and it's also then right now you have Trump even saying that he might have the pleasure of taking Cuba. And Marco Rubio, obviously, he has even said openly that he doesn't think a regime change would be bad, which it wouldn't. Look what's happening right now because of communism. They literally have spies downstairs right now trying to round us up before we make it before we're able to publish these videos. So if I make it out, this video gets seen. If it doesn't, I'm most likely in a prison cell, which I really hope is not the case. Third option is we somehow get to the embassy and we get a private jet and we make our way out. Other option is to steal a boat and take it all the way to the Coast Guard and then surrender to the U.S. Coast Guard to make our way into the United States. So those are pretty much our options right now. We have somebody outside, even on the street, in a blacked out vehicle, eyeing us from our hotel room. And now we are trying to figure out what to do. Anyways, that is the current situation. I'm currently potentially about to be kidnapped here in Cuba. I hope that is not the case, but I think you guys should know exactly what is happening and the risk we are taking here in Cuba to try and show people the truth about the realities of communism and what's happening here in Cuba.
So let's kind of start from the top here. I would definitely call these individuals most likely that are following him, not so much spies here, more like government minders. Again, you will definitely 100% experience these people like with an American passport going to like Moscow. Okay, you're definitely going to do this. Belarus, you'll also encounter this pretty, profusely, let's just say this year. China, where else have I experienced this type of thing here? Morocco, Egypt, again, Algeria, Mauritania. You're going to experience these things, bro. Like, I mean, I get it. You want to do this for the sole purpose of kind of showing the light of what reality and life is for people in these like despot type of scenarios. I understand that, right? But you also need to know how to do this here. Like, I don't know if this is his first time, like, leaving the country and trying to do something like this. But I would definitely probably give him some really good, like, understanding. Cause like all of my gear got basically taken in Egypt, right? This is legitimately why I'd never go back to Egypt a day in my life, bro. Like, Egypt is on a list of places that I would never experience on purpose ever again in my life. Egypt. This happened in Egypt to me personally. In Morocco, I was followed. I met like these super crazy, like bad guys, they start with an I, and with an S, basically begging for money. What was that? Tangiers, right? Yeah, it was just the craziest thing in the world here, bro. Like, they almost declined my access. And that's all because the company that basically sent me there, right? I can't really mention them like that, but the company that sent me there specifically, unfortunately had their logo on one of my pieces of documents. And they were just like, wait a second, I know this company. You're a journalist. You're one of those type of photographers that photograph like the bad things in the places. And I'm like, oh no, right? And they basically were trying to pack me up for the most part at the border in Morocco, coming from the ferry. I left from Tarifa in the south of Spain, and it was the craziest thing in the world here, bro. Like, yeah, followed for 2 days, and I'm just like, I wasn't even like there to get anything crazy, right? I was there for the sole purpose of photographing, like the city. That's it here. There was nothing crazy. Right? Look at how exotic this place looks. That's it. All right. I specifically wasn't there for the sole purpose of like photographing the trash or the rats I saw walking on the street, bro. It wasn't that. It was not that. It was more than that. Right. Old world in 2020, that type of thing, guys. That's all it was here. But yeah, I was followed the entirety of the time here, guys. Right. That's it. From the hotel, walking the street. Every time I turned around, there was somebody behind me. I was just like the same person, guys. Right. No real threat of the idea of like being taken like this here. I don't think that truthfully he was under that same circumstance. I do think that he was being followed by government minders. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I know I've experienced it in multiple places around the world. Guys, I've been to 140 countries. Right. I'm telling you when I say this here, like under the umbrella of photojournalism. All right. So it's just like, I know why you sent me this video, bro. Because I'm sure you've heard my stories before talking about this craziness. But yeah, this happens. Like this is a thing that happens in some places that are absolutely hostile to the idea of freedom of speech. And there are a lot of places that are like that there, bro. And you are Nick Shirley. Okay. Like all they had to do was Google your name. And then you also then got a visa that said you're a journalist. And now look at what's going on. Of course they're following you, bro. Like that's bro. Yes. All right. But always make sure you're doing your research if you're going to be involving in these things here. No idea if he's going to ever see the video here, but again, I do this. Well, not anymore, right? I did this type of thing, but with no microphone, like legitimately, like just like cameras, bro. Like walking around taking photos of like all the stuff, bro. That's it. That was my existence here. Okay, like for a decade. Okay. You cannot tell the people what you're doing. I'm sorry, that may sound crazy. That may sound like absolutely not intelligent. Let's just say this here, but always enter the country as a tourist, bro. That's it here. Okay. Now him finding a way out here. You could have easily said, you know what, hold on. Find a way to Spain, okay? Find a way to other countries, well, mainly Spain, Panama, okay? That's all you have to do here. Like, if you can't find a way to America today, right now, find a way to Panama or Spain. It's as simple as that here. Just leave, right? Now, in terms of like him saying a private jet scenario, that also sounds a little bit unnecessary, right? I mean, all you really have to do is book a charter coming from Cuba to Puerto Rico or DR. It should take about 10 hours, specifically with a chartered boat, right? So you can get out, okay? You can find your way out, but all they're doing here is following you, okay? But you are kind of poking the bear. That's it here. But I understand the idea of content also, right? So I don't know how much of the story kind of leaned more into the idea of let me make super compelling content, because again, I've been in this scenario multiple times, looking out the window like, bro, I can't sleep. Right? I'm not going to sit here. I'm not even going to call anyone. And why am I not going to call anyone? Because the rooms are like, if that's the only hotel that had electricity, bro, that whole hotel is bugged. They knew that's where you were going to go because it was the closest to what you're used to culturally, if that makes any sense here. It's going to have running plumbing, right? It's going to have hot water. It's going to have electricity all day, air conditioning. They knew those places are there for a reason, right? That's it, because they know the only people that can afford to stay there are going to be Americans. All right. So just pay attention to these things here. Sometimes you have to kind of slum it, if that makes any sense, when you're in some of these places, because you do not want to be in a place that is heavily monitored. And this looks like a place that is heavily monitored. Okay. Like I'm seeing like light fixtures, bro. Did you check everything? Like, did you enter into the country with one of the bug checkers, bro? Like, did you do everything that was needed to make sure that you were going to be safe in an extremely excessively hostile environment? Because I'm not sure he actually did that in this instance. But this is absolutely insane that he had to go through this here. But again, Cuba is not the United States of America. All of these like hermit kingdom, despot type of places are also not the United States of America, guys. And sometimes Americans, I'm American, bro. Like we go into places and we're just like, what do you mean this is not America? Right? If that makes any sense here, right? I mean, after the first 20, 30 countries you encounter, you start to realize that the world is not America, guys. All right? I mean, things move differently in certain places and you have to kind of fit in immediately. All right? And trust me, he was here standing out. That's what it sounds like. While also being like, again, I don't know how many times he's been outside of the United States of America, because that also would be very telling, right? So if he's ever been to a hostile place, like the amount of times I've been to countries that were like legitimately at war, okay, where you were like seriously like, I don't know if I can sleep. I don't know if I can lay down. I can't drink this water. I'm gonna get sick. Like these type of things here. These super interesting. I don't know if he's ever been to any of these places, because I've never seen him go to any of these places. All right, like, how do you think this video would have turned out with him doing the same exact thing going to Iraq? Guys, you have to know where you are. First of all, cut your team. The idea of journalism is moderately dangerous. Understand that it is here, but you have to cut your team. You got to cut them all off. You should have went by yourself. All right. If you're going to risk it, getting the footage and things like this, you should have went by yourself, because I've had to go by myself to a lot of places, because I knew that if I would have brought 3 other big guys with me behind me as personal security, I can't like act like a local. Does that make any sense here, guys? Just like understand what I'm saying here. Like in certain places, I definitely stand out because people have never seen someone like me, bro, in certain places around the world. Let's just start right there, right? They look at me and they're just like, like, guys, wait, crazy story time. China, all right? China, some little kid asked me if I had a tail, okay? That was number one. That was absolutely insane to me, but China, okay? It wasn't the only time things like this have happened. I understand this here. There was a tail. There was like there was an older woman in Mongolia who was like trying to rub my skin because she thought I was dirty, right? Just laugh it in the comments. I'm not weak. Laugh at it. Go. I'll give you a second. Okay, enough. Stop laughing now. It's not funny. But either way, but yeah, these type of things exist, guys, right? And so you have to go to places where, like, if you're going somewhere like this, do not bring your entire team. Do not bring all types of crazy cameras. Again, like, this is what I would bring to certain places. I know it's gonna produce 4K video if I need it. Okay. And then some like 20 megapixel images, and they're not going to be breathtaking quality, but they're going to be better than not having a camera, because the best camera that you have on you generally is the one you have on you. All right. So it's better than nothing, my guys. So you can definitely do something like that, because again, the common typical tourist is going to carry something like this anyway, or maybe not as crazy, but you get what I'm saying here. They're going to carry something on them that's like that. Act like that. You have to fit in, bro. All right. And like certain places in Europe and Africa, I always have a backpack on, because like certain places you want to act like a tourist more so you have to look like a tourist. All right. How do tourists move around the world? Act and look like them. Do not stand out, my guy. Okay? Because what happens when you stand out? You get hammered in, bro. All right? Hammered back into place, my guys. But listen, my opinion here, obviously, I'm glad everything was good. I'm glad everything turned out well. I'm glad he ended up posting this video here. But again, I have to point out here, be careful when you travel, okay? And specifically to places like this. With very specific visas, because you could have done anything different. Like, so for example, Cuba is absolutely easy. I've never gone to Cuba from America though. All right. So like I would always like jump somewhere else. If that makes it, like, things become very easy if people don't know you're American in certain places. Okay. And you can't go there with our common typical American entitlement, because again, they're going to eat you alive. And yes, Cuba is incredibly poor. Yes, everything looks terrible generally. Yes, people do not eat adequately. Yes, I agree. The reality here, a lot of the grocery stores are absolutely not stocked adequately. There are issues there. We all know it. I'm not sure you had to go to show it, but I understand why you did. But just do it smarter, bro. Okay, just do it smarter, please. All right, for the sake of you and your family. All right. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. And in the meantime, guys, I'll go and catch you guys later.